A resume is kind of like a personalized advertisement for the job that you're looking for. And here's a very basic and simple way to write a resume. Welcome to Epically Simple Basics. I'm JR, and today we're talking about making a resume, and I'm going to show you a very simple and basic way to do it. And the very first thing that a lot of people don't bother to talk about, I guess they just assume you already know, is don't handwrite it. You want to type it up. So get out your grandma's old typewriter, go to your local library, or fire up your old Mac computer that you should have thrown away years ago. Let's go to the computer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now we're at the computer. I've got these resume templates pulled up here. I've got several different ones. If you're interested in these templates, shoot me an email or something and I'll try to send you the file like as an email attachment so you can go along, you can follow along the video if you want, or you can just type it up new yourself, but I thought it would be easier to go with a template. Now I tried to make it as simple and easy and organized as possible. This is just a basic, simple, entry-level resume. You don't have to go all out with it, or you can simply erase the section that you're going to be typing into and input the appropriate information. You can also click and hold and then drag the mouse to highlight a section, and then you can start typing over the section that's been highlighted and it should replace it. So that would be like email@gmail.com, for example. There's 4, maybe 5 main sections that you want to focus on in your resume, especially just for entry level. You can always add more later on as you increase in your level, but we're just focusing on 4, maybe 5 main ones. The first of all is going to be about you, your personal information, your name, email address, street address, phone number, all your basic contact information, and of course your name. Then we have objectives, and this is where you want to get specific to the position that you're applying for. Now, like I said in some of my previous videos, if you're not getting paid very much, it's just an entry-level position and you're not even making enough to live off of, don't bother making this specific for a certain job in particular. Make it specific to the field that you're going into. If it's a high-paying job, or if it's just a job that you really want, so you want to put the extra effort into it, try to make this specific to the position and the job and the company that you're actually applying for. If you're making less than, say, $17 an hour, which is roughly translated to $36,000 annual salary, then don't bother with it. Just make it specific to the industry. And your objective, you want to make this almost like a very short 2 to 3 sentence answer to the question, what do you want your career to be within the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, something like that. Our next section is going to be skills, so highlight some of your special skills like driving a forklift, if you have experience with certain specialized tools, if you have certain field specific experience and skill that you can actually prove through showing them and actually doing the work. You need at least 3 to 5 of these. You want to be careful, don't take up too much space, because as you'll see in a little bit, we're trying to fit everything on one page. Our next section is going to be experience. This is the work that you've done in the past. If you followed along my previous videos, you're going to have a big list of previous experience and probably a big list of the duties for each one, duties and responsibilities. On your resume, you want to focus at least on the field that you're going into, not necessarily everything that you've done. Pick the best, say, 3 to 5 jobs that are directly related or involved in the field that you're going into or applying for, and stick with those. With the duties and responsibilities, you want 3 to 5 of these for each of the companies or jobs that you've had that you're going to list on your resume. Again, you want 3 to 5 jobs, you want 3 to 5 duties and responsibilities for each job. I include references in my resume. Some will say absolutely never, some will say absolutely always. I've never had a problem with it, and I have landed some jobs just for the fact that I turned in a resume. So depending on what you're going for, it doesn't really seem to matter that much. You can, if you want, include references, personal work references in your resume. Definitely include your name, their name, phone number, address. Of course, the city and state is good enough. They don't need to know their actual postal address, how you know them, and of course how long you've known them, and make sure that your information is up to date, because if they do try to call these, and they will contact your references, you want them to actually be able to contact your references. So make sure you use up-to-date information, and you want to have somewhere, again, between 3 to 5 references. Now, when we start talking about the formatting of your resume, some professionals will recommend the 24-12-10 setup, and what that means is your name is going to be the first thing that they see. You want that to be the size 24. Well, this one don't have 24, so I'm going with 26. The headers of your different sections are what you want to make 12, so that they stand out and they separate the different sections of your resume. And then the meat of the resume, everything else, is going to be size 10. So you just basically highlight everything else, size it to 10. It's that simple. Now you can go even further and change the style or the font of the lettering that you're using. Prettify it up a little bit. So instead of Calibri body, then you can make it something like whatever that was. Something that is different from just your standard stock default font styling. But it also needs to be easily legible when someone's just skimming through it. So, say for example, we make this A.R. Barkley. Now, if we was to make the entire resume like that, just glancing at it from a distance, it's going to be hard to read. Same for some of your other fonts too, like whatever this one is, Herman. Okay. It might look pretty at first, but it's going to be hard to read when someone's actually going through it. Another one is the Dutch Gothic. It looks really great, but when you're trying to read it, actually read a sentence or a statement in that style of font that's size 10, it's going to be harder to read. If you have a degree or something and you want to include an education section, feel free to go ahead and include that in here as well. Make sure that it applies at least to the field, if not the specific position that you're applying for. I have another template here. This one is already prettified. We've got a couple of different colors in here, the sizes and formatting is all set up. All you really got to do is highlight the section and type in the information that you want. Another thing that you want to do, like I mentioned earlier, is go back through after you've put in all of the information and you're doing your prettifying. You want to do things that will help draw the eye and draw the attention to certain parts. So say you have a skill that is really important for the position or the field that you're going into. You want to pick out keywords for that skill, and you want to highlight those. You want to bold it. Don't want to go overboard. Don't bold, italicize, and underline. Just make sure everything else is normal font, and you can just put it in bold, and you're good to go. Do the same thing with your experience when you're going through your duties and responsibilities. Look for keywords or phrases, highlight and bold, help draw the eye to that. Most experts say that when an employer looks over a resume, they only spend about 6 to 12 seconds, barely enough time to skim through, and you want the most important parts of your resume to just kind of pop out at them. Of course, the first thing they're going to see is your name. That should be the biggest thing on your resume. The other stuff like skills that would really work for the job, and especially if it's specific to a certain position or company, you definitely want to highlight keywords or phrases that'll draw attention to that. If you're struggling to keep it down to one page, remember this is only for entry-level positions and positions that pay less than a livable wage. So keep it to one page. If you're struggling to keep it to one page, you can always take those references out. They don't have to be included in your resume. And of course, if you decide to go the route with the fancy different colored letters and different fonts and whatnot, take the time to go to a local library or a print shop and actually have it printed out in color. Once you have your resume all typed up and ready to go and printed out, if it's one of those that are specific to the field and not to the actual position that you're applying for, then go ahead and make a bunch of copies and go fill out some applications. Turn in a resume with your application, and if they didn't ask for it in the first place, that's going to be bonus points for you. If they did ask for it, well, you're already on top of the game. You got that much done anyway. Happy job hunting. If you got any other advice or extra tips or questions or comments, leave them in the comments below and we'll all learn some more together. Be sure to check out some of my other videos on the channel and help me out a little bit by supporting the channel. Use some of the Amazon links. That gives me a little kickback if you buy something on Amazon, and it don't cost anything extra for you. Remember, keep learning and have fun.